Yes, sir. Okay, this video, I'm gonna talk about making up excuses. I think I made a video a long time ago talking about this. People making excuses, when it comes to language learning and other things. And it was so interesting last night. It was, what time was it? It was like 11. It was around 10 last night. I was on Facebook. I was checking my messages, and I got a friend invite from a lady. She's a Navajo, and I was so excited. She watched my videos, and she supported me and stuff, and it felt great. But anyway, she was telling me how she has, like, I think she said she had 3 kids, and she like taught them Navajo, like everything she knew she taught them. And she said she would meet other Navajo speakers. This is for other languages too, not just for Navajo. But she said that people would say, "Oh, I didn't learn a language because my family didn't teach me. I didn't learn it from them, and so I don't know Navajo, and that's it." And it was so interesting because she said that those people are just making up excuses, and I'll have to agree with her. That's, people make excuses, but that doesn't mean that that it's too late. You can still learn the language. So you just got to be real serious about it. If you want to learn, you can still learn. And I still don't understand why people are just making up excuses about not learning language. Some people will say, "Well, I don't have the time," or "I'm already too old," and stuff like that. Like, I've heard people like younger than me, like they 25, 22, 23, talking about they are too old to learn a language, and it's just ridiculous because the age doesn't matter. So why are people making excuses, for language learning? Like I was saying before, like a lot of the language that I study, I could make a lot of excuses. I could make a whole bunch of excuses. Like, why? It's like, oh, like, for example, someone asked me, "Well, why don't you study a language like, let's say, Hmong? Let's take Hmong for example." They say, "Why don't you study a language like Hmong?" I could easily say, well, A, I don't have friends to speak it with, which is true. I don't have any friends to speak Hmong with in this city. And B, the resources. There is very, very hard to find resources for that language. I had to go through a lot, to find resources for the Hmong language. And well, there anything else? That's pretty much it. I could say that. Just, I don't have anybody here in my city to practice with, and resources. There aren't any resources for there are resources, but you have to really dig for them. I could have easily made those type of excuses, but you know what? I was really hungry for the language. Hungry like a wolf out here for the language. And you know what? I searched for the resources and I found them. Found chat room, and that was it. That's all I needed. So I think it's all about the seriousness. If you're very serious about learning a certain language or anything, this applies to anything in life actually. If you have strong ambitions for something, you will find a way. Trust me, you will find a way. If there are many obstacles, barriers, you will find a way to get around them. You just got to work hard, So yeah, I don't think we should make excuses for learning languages. I mean, just try. If you even had the thought of learning a certain language, just try it. You search for resources. Find some online communities. That's another thing. Find some online communities. Find like language communities. See what everyone's method or how they feel about language learning. That's one thing I like about this community is like everyone thinks different. They think differently about this language learning process. Everyone has their own methods, and I like to look at different types of methods. I'm not really limited to one. I like to see, well, I'll try this out and see if that works. If this works, it's great. So if you could find a community like that, that will help you out too. You get some pretty good ideas. Now, fortunately for me, when I first started learning Chinese, I didn't have that. I didn't really know about that many communities. Now, I had a computer, but I wasn't in, I wasn't going to forums. I didn't know about many communities, language learners. I would just find some chat rooms and just go there and just practice the language, you know. And at that time, I was so hungry to learn that language, so hungry, and I got results like quick. I didn't realize how fast I was learning. It was just, I was having so much fun with the language. I could have made excuses there too, and say, you know what, I don't want to learn Chinese because they got too many characters. I could have said that, but that didn't stop me. Now I just wanted to be able to speak the language at first, but as I was meeting those Chinese people, they were telling me, oh, if you go to China, you're not gonna see signs with pinyin on them, so you might as well start learning the characters. So that's when I started learning. I started learning like the simplified and a traditional at the same time. Actually, I started with I started with them at the same time because I remember there was a teacher that was in high school. They had actually they had a Chinese course there, and she taught. And I remember when I was a sophomore, and she asked me. I was in the hall, and then she was like, you should try Chinese out. And I was like, no way. Like, I was like, that's impossible. That's what I said as a sophomore. And then that's when I was taking French in high school. So I remember when I first started learning Chinese, I went back and said, you know what, I'm going to go check out. Her name was Mrs. Lin, Mrs. Lin. And it was funny because her husband was from Taiwan too. And she had this book. I think I showed you guys before. The Chinese book I was using to learn those characters, it had both. It might be in the other room. It might be in Boot Camp Station 2 or Boot Camp Station B. But it's a book. It has both the traditional and the simplified characters. I would just learn them, at the same time. And then, it was just, So from there, I just continue with it. So I think that we need to drop these excuses, and not just that. You have other people, your peers. They may say, "Oh, that's useless." You don't need to learn that. Especially here in the States, we're so egocentric. Or ethnocentric, whatever the word is. We think we're the best. We're better than everyone else, so we don't have to learn the other languages. I mean, if you look at it, if you know English, you could get around pretty well. But that shouldn't stop you from learning languages. You should still try it out because you never know what it's going to do for you. So so drop the excuses, find some communities, and that's it. And if you have those people who are trying to hold you down, they're telling you, don't do that, blah blah blah. Just keep your distance. With those people. I don't like to be around those type of people because it's so negative. They're not doing anything. They're not benefiting. It's not benefiting me in any way by being around them, listening to that stuff all the time. So that's pretty much it. I just want to ramble on about that. And so what do you guys? Why are people making excuses? What are the excuses? What are your excuses? If you're one of these people making up excuses for language learning, I want to hear what is your excuse? I want you to tell me. So that's pretty much it. And look forward to you guys' comments. Thank you.